there was a lot of foul activity going on, and no one's talking about it.
I feel like I see less patience in the hobby today from teams. And I want to get your thoughts on it. When you hear of the large dollar amounts now around PMGs, what do you think?
What it takes for someone to spend that much money on any card.
Fanatics did something tonight I had never heard about. They have a lottery.
We got you on the lot.
Oh my goodness, we're both on the line.
Hey,
I don't think that the fact that they did VFriends and Jackass is going to have any impact on how they treat sports cards.
you got to let the people know who you're rolling with, man.
Well, obviously I'm rolling with FD.
What's up, everybody? How we doing? It's Monday, 6 p.m. And I have a special guest here that is a leader of the hobby. I wanted to talk to her for a while now, and I'm happy to have her here. I have Stephanie Mama Breaks. What's going on?
Hey, FD. Hey, everybody.
How's your day going?
Good. Thank you. I love that introduction that you have. You've had some heavy hitters on here.
Oh, but not you yet, Stephanie. I'm pretty sure that after the day, you'll be in the intro.
So, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
How are you doing today, FD?
I'm doing well. I am doing well. So let's jump into some questions here. I know you're a big fan of the Dodgers. Tell us about your kind of love of sports background and what cards you collect.
I love that question because I feel like I've loved sports since I was little. My dad was a big soccer fan.
Okay.
So I grew up going to Galaxy games. I live here in LA. We watched a lot of Mexico soccer, Chivas game. And it wasn't until I met my stepdad when I was about 8 years old. He took me to my first ever baseball game.
Okay.
It was Dodgers versus Arizona, and I just fell in love with it. I fell in love with the smell of the stadium, the look of it, and baseball is something that I really started getting into a lot. And then when I started playing softball, even
You still there? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. And, Jenny Finch took the USA women's softball team and won gold. I think I was in middle school. Yeah.
She's a player. She was a player. Yeah.
She's still very active in that community. So, yeah, that's kind of where my love for baseball and softball and playing sports stem from. And I did, rip packs as a kid, but I had no idea about collecting. I had no idea adults collected or that, cards were valuable in any sense. I didn't know anyone who collected personally. And I kind of just stumbled upon opening packs myself because I saw them in stores. And I also collected Pokemon as a kid.
Okay.
So it was something like, I had Pokemon cards. Baseball cards seemed pretty cool. But yeah, like I'm sure everyone's story, we kind of convinced ourselves that we grew out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And now after quarantine and being at home, I had a career change as well. I stumbled upon sports cards, and now I decided to collect as like doing something with my family. And now I've taken it to a level I didn't imagine. So yeah. Who I collect is mostly Dodger pitchers.
Mm-hmm.
So Dodger starting pitchers it's a collection that I'm building. I'm trying to get blue autos and gold autos of like my favorite starting pitchers. And we collect a lot of Kobe because we're from LA too. So, yeah. Yep. Shaq is something I haven't dipped into as much as I would like, but that's a goal for this year for me to get a real nice Shaq card.
Okay. All right. I'll keep my eye open too when I'm out.
Do you have any Shaq?
Do I have any what, Shaq?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, just stuff from when he was like all the stuff that people say is overproduced. I have quite a bit of that. I have one autograph card from him when he was at LSU, but not a lot. I think I could add more Shaq to my collection over time than what I have right now. Oh, I'm always in awe of Shaq Logo Man whenever I see him, and
Mhm.
I look at his cars. I'm like, man, this stuff is crazy. Yeah, but I probably always use more Shaq in my collection. I know you talked about your love of sports, but tell everybody more about what your business is and what you do with cars right now.
Okay. So what I do is I break cards, and I started on Instagram, and now I'm venturing onto newer platforms like the Car Shop Live app, which has been really good. I believe, their whole mission is really solid. They have some really good people behind it too, and I only see it growing from here. So that's a really cool app to check out if you haven't yet, the Car Shop Live app. And I do a lot of setting up at shows. So I guess you could say dealing.
Hmm.
And I sell on eBay, so singles on eBay too.
Okay. So is your name of your store on eBay Mama Breaks? And how do they
Yes,
find
it
your
is.
car shop?
Exactly.
Okay.
Card Shop Live, I'll be on the first page there, Mama Breaks, and then eBay is Mama Breaks as well.
And how often do you break cars? How
I
often
don't
do
know
you
if
break?
it's me or you, but it's a little. Oh, how often do I break? I was breaking once a week, so I'm gonna try again. I was teaching full time too, so it was kind of hard for me to keep that consistent schedule. But summer's coming up, and I'm also now with my move. I'm gonna take some time off of teaching
Hmm.
or weekly thing.
Okay. Very, very cool.
Hmm.
Very cool. Um, you've been in the LA car scene. You know, I moved here probably about 12 years ago, but I didn't really get back into the LA car
Okay.
scene probably about 4 or 5 years ago. I was focused more on autographs, meeting players, things like that. How have you seen the LA
Hmm.
market evolve over time?
Well, I would consider myself only in it in like actually being part a short year ago so much.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't know if it's I have my full bar, but
Are you
sorry,
on your phone? You on your phone? You on a computer?
I remember one of no, I'm on my computer.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
My but I think one of my first shows was Diamond
Can you hear me? I know she'll be right back. Probably having some technical difficulties with internet. Yeah, she's back. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
All right.
sorry. Yeah, I just switched internets right now. Like I said, I'm at my mother-in-law's house. I'm not sure
Oh,
how.
that's right. I
Yeah.
understand. No, we keep it rolling. It's all good.
Okay, yeah, I like that. But yeah, I remember one of my first shows being Diamond Nine show when it was actually at a hotel too in Fullerton. I don't know if you ever went to one of those before Rob had the shop.
No, never went to those. I've only been to the shop.
Yeah, so him opening up that shop, Diamond Nine, really I think like I don't want to say kick started, but lit a fire under it because then we had that place to connect every single week. And I feel like people have that has started there have grown, and now we have the Newport Showcase, which is awesome too. And then on top of having Wiley and Alex in the Union Marketplace shows, I just think this area in Southern California is really it's only the beginning of what's gonna be for sports cards here. I think we've only started it. Yeah. So it's exciting to be a part of.
And I've talked to several people who have referenced Diamond 9 as kind of the place they first started going to shows. Mm-hmm. But I did not know that Rob had a show at another location before he got that store there. It's good. It's good information.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to bring in some comments right quick. We got Pancake Analytics saying hello.
Hey.
What's up, Pancake? How you doing? James is saying, what's up, rolling with FDG and Mama Breaks, Dodgers and Mookie. Yeah.
Let's go Dodgers.
Dodgers are doing well. The Reverend Rip says, what's up, lady and gent? FD and Mama Breaks, what a combo. Colorado Sports Tube, man, finally got back to a live stream. Dodgers pitching. I think Kershaw might be the best pitcher of the last 20 years, or Verlander. I can tell you this. I lived in Detroit when Verlander was at his peak. He was some kind of a pitcher. I mean, they would ride with him for 8-9 innings a game. Yeah, Kershaw's a great pitcher.
They did. Mattingly love to do that with Kershaw too. Yeah, I would say that's a tough question, but I'm probably the wrong person to ask. I say it's definitely Kershaw.
Yeah, I got it. Reverend said COVID definitely allowed people to branch out into business development. Good for her.
Thank you.
Loco is in here. What's up, Loco? Loco says that he put $100 on the Warriors tonight.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, I'll agree with that too. You might want to put some more money on Game 6, Loco.
Yeah. I'm not the most basketball savvy, but I'm learning.
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, I find myself watching all different types of sports, and I can understand when someone is watching a sport maybe for the first time or trying to learn a sport. Some of the stuff is not, you as you watch, you learn, you go.
It's definitely another way, like actually playing the game. You learn so many intricacies, and just you get into the players' heads a little bit more in the game more, and you kind of understand it once you play it. So me never having played like basketball or football, it was hard for me at first to really understand what was going on. But once you get into the swing of it, playing like NBA 2K and Madden has helped me a lot. Yeah.
I remember when I played high school football, everything is so basic,
Yeah, okay.
Unless you have a savvy coach and some pretty savvy students, everything is pretty much basic. I really didn't learn the nuances of football until I played in college.
Okay.
That's when I started understanding what's really going on. In high school, I look back on it, I thought I knew, but there's some things I still didn't know. So it's, we're all learning.
I started, so I didn't grow up watching football at all. Like that was not a thing in my household. And it's not until I met my husband, he is a Chiefs fan, that he started taking me to down to San Diego to watch the Chiefs games. And again, for years, I did not understand what was going on. I kind of just like to go, be a part of the game. And a coworker convinced me to play fantasy football.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I was hooked. And then once I started playing Madden, because I love playing video games too. I always have. Once I started playing Madden, I'm like, oh, so that's what's going on.
Yeah, these video games are so real. The coverages, the defenses, the running plays, the passing plays, it's all taken from NFL playbooks. So it's very real. Loco says he's barely learned the nuances of basketball this year playing in a Monday Night League. I think the truth of the matter is the majority of our population, they do not watch sports. So I think
I want to say yes, like watching sports as a fan, but like truly understanding the nuances and being like a student of the game is more for like a different type of fandom.
That's true. That's true.
Because you have people going to Dodger games who are literally listening to the game on the radio and writing down what's going on, like counting the pitches and all that. And
I've been to
Your
some
stats?
games where people would fill out the entire chart of what's going on at the game, inning by inning,
Mm-hmm.
hit by hit, pitch by pitch. Yeah. Feed the Gods is here. What's up, Feed the Gods? Good to have you here.
Hey.
So, do you submit cards for grading?
You know what? I do to SGC a lot because personally, I'm still learning to be a little less risk averse,
Okay.
and when I started really getting into cards, PSA was closed
Yes.
and it was only open for like the high submission. And until recently, now that the economy's back up for $30, I'm now considering sending to PSA, but before it was too much of a risk for me. So I enjoyed sending cards to SGC, and I think overall I've been pretty happy with their service. I think they're consistent in their grading, and for $23 a card, I didn't mind sending 25, knowing that maybe half was gonna be nines. So
Yeah, SGC
that wasn't a risk. That wasn't a risk I was willing to make with PSA at the prices.
Oh, I understand. Yeah, I can get that. Me personally, I've just started sending cards in to get them graded. I sent one into PSA, sent one into Beckett. I plan to try to buy more raw cards. Really scrutinize what I'm buying, but try to buy more raw and get them graded, and then go from there.
I think it's exciting. There's so many types of little gambles in the hobby that you take. So like opening a pack is something exciting. You don't know what you're gonna get. Same thing with sending in a card for grading. It's exciting. That's why people love watching PSA reveals. It's like it's so exciting to see what grade you're gonna get. So I think that's another fun part.
And then almost with PSA, you're hoping that you get the email upcharge, you know,
Mm-hmm.
your card is what level it's on.
Exactly.
Rocco says he sent an order. But go ahead. What was your statement?
What made you decide to send to BGS versus PSA?
It was because the card was it had a patch in it, and it was an auto card, and it was thicker. So I decided to send that to Beckett. But I know myself, and in the future, I'm probably gonna come down this road again with a thicker card, and probably send that to PSA to see what happens. Especially if I really believe in a card, have it looked at, checked out, cleaned. Get some recommendations on what others also think are maybe the grade of the card. Something thicker will probably be going to PSA, because I purchased some thicker cards that were PSA cards, and I know it's hard to get a great grade on them. But I think if I came across something that I thought was going down that road, I might take that chance.
Okay, that's always an interesting. I think that's something important to talk about too, because I think about it a lot. Like maybe some cards that have a slight imperfection, you rather get that gem in 0.5 than a 9 for PSA. Sure. So like I have a Kershaw Gold rookie variation, and it's off-centered, but it's not too off-centered that I don't think it would be in 8.5. Probably be a 9 centering, and the rest is pretty sharp. Okay. So I'm thinking of just sending it to BGS too, and the gold would look nice with the gold label.
It would. Now, that's a number card, right?
No, it's not a numbered card. It's not the gold border. It's the gold variation, so the lettering is gold.
Okay. Cool.
But I love the white.
Yeah. Very cool card. Feed the Gods asks a question. What's your thoughts on artist musician cards? I haven't really seen anyone talking about getting them. Seems kind of untapped in his opinion. I do know Flippin' Steve. I don't know if you've ever watched Flippin' Steve's content, but Flippin' Steve on the East Coast, it's all into artists and musician cards. Gets them graded, sells them, buys them on a regular basis. As well as here locally, Merle World Cards does a lot with musician and artist cards as well.
I was gonna say the first person that comes to mind is Merle with his cards, and I feel like it's harder, especially because we haven't had musician sets out yet, so you have to really you have to really do your research. So it's harder to do. That's why maybe it's untapped, and see, okay, is this person's first card and why? So one really cool thing I like about Topps is that they have a lot of sets in the past where you can find little oddball rookie cards from musicians and celebrities. And one that comes to mind is the 2005 Topps Jay-Z.
Yeah,
That's top with the
that's a
rookie
well
card, and I
sought
think
after
that
card. Yeah.
that's a big card if you can find it. And I think it's still fairly affordable in base. And I know Josh Luber's a big fan of musician cards.
Yes, he is.
And I think he's working to make Fanatics and Topps make musician sets. So I think it's a nice pickup if you could find good ones for a good price right now.
And definitely of a band or a musician that you listen to, you enjoy, you like their music, it's a direct connection to that. We have Love What You Collect here. How you doing, Eric?
Hey.
It's good to have you here. All right, what's my next question here? Let's just talk the hobby a little bit. What are some of your thoughts on maybe the next 6 to 18 months in the hobby? What do you see? How do you see the hobby changing, growing? What do you think is going to happen?
Well, there's so many things that I've been thinking about. So 6 months is like what, the end of the year, and then maybe like next year today. We're like, everybody knows inflation is high and we're coming into a recession. So I think cards are definitely going to take a hit as far as values. So I really hope that people didn't over leverage themselves, because that's when people start panic selling and all that stuff, and it's only going to continue to get worse and worse if we do that. I believe that we're a lot more educated than the crash, quote unquote, which really wasn't a crash, but it was a correction that was happening last summer. Yes. I think it's going to continue to go down right now, but the important thing is to just, how do I say this? Like, hold your cards that you believe in. If you need the cash, sell the cards that you don't believe in anymore at whatever price they're set at right now. Don't get caught holding on to things that you don't like because you're waiting for them to go back up, because I don't believe that's going to happen anytime soon. And we're going to see a shift in the whole flip game, short-term flip game. And we're going to see more collectors and long-term investors. I have a hard time differentiating between like what a long-term investor is versus a collector, because to me, if you're gonna buy a card to hold it long-term, you're a collector in my eyes, right? Or what do you think?
I think so.
I
think there's a fine line between a lot of these I guess labels of what one's participation is. Because I always say you could walk into a show, and if you walk into a show and you've been holding a card for over 2 years, what are you? Then you may go into that show and want to move that card or trade that card to pull something else into your PC. So then what hat do you put on then? I think a lot of us are probably different things at different times, all depending on the situation and what's going on. Like, what's your goal? What are you trying to achieve, and in what time frame?
Me?
No, I'm just saying if
as far as my collection, or
I'm just saying if someone is being
active, yeah,
they may have different hats on at different points in time.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think we're gonna keep moving away from the short-term flip game, which is also fun. Don't get me wrong, but you can also make plays that you just remember that sometimes those high-yielding short-term flips, it's a lot of luck involved with those. Like you pretty much time the market, and you have to remember that if you did, it was pretty lucky. Your play should be more. Because don't get me wrong, I've had those short-term flips where I was like, wow, I made a lot of money in 2-week time, but it's again just luck, because no one's gonna know if Tatum's going to drop 80 tonight, and I should have bought more Tatum. No, you can't predict that.
That is true. You don't know who's going to
Curry,
get hurt. Yeah, you don't know what's going to happen with players. Just gotta. I kind of look at some factors as far as what I see of them on the court or the field or what they're doing, and then I try to learn more about their work ethic. Do they work out? What do they do? And then go from there. But it's all a chance. It's about how much risk are you willing to take on sometimes.
Exactly. And I think we need to teach that more. And when we start going away from that, trying to time the market stuff and then focus more on, like you said, the players that you like, you learn more about them, their work ethic, what have they done outside of sports? You know, that's one reason why I love collecting Kershaw and Shaq. They've done so much for outside of sports too. And then just because we're like I said, if you're a long-term investor curating a collection that maybe in the future you can sell off and, you know, pay for something, you're looking for those like legacy type players that people are going to want to collect years down the road. Yes. So who are going to be those big figures that, you know, made an impact on the game, changed it and all that. So that's why LeBron is such a good buy right now too.
Yeah. And hit a lot of his
cards. After it's all said and done. Yeah.
A lot of his cards are very liquid as well. If you want to make a move to another LeBron card or to another person that you're interested in.
And I think when it's all said and done, even though, you know, he has a lot of haters and stuff right now, I think people forget a lot of the times that Kobe wasn't that well liked at some parts in his career. So, but when it's all said and done, you're not going to be able to deny the impact he had.
True. That is true.
Because I remember it's kind of like growing up, it was like either you're on Team Shaq or Team Kobe. And it was like Kobe's a ball. Yeah.
It was like that. Even being in Chicago at the time or in the Midwest, I kind of knew that. Yeah. And I think the team was somewhat divided too. I think the Lakers were divided like that.
Yeah, they didn't get along. They didn't get along until they were both retired. So
you got to think about this, right? Now I think about stuff sometimes. Shaq comes in to the Lakers. He's the dominating player in the NBA. Right? He's the man. Kobe tells him at 17, I'm going to be the GOAT. Already, that's like, what are you talking about? Pretty sure Shaq was like, whatever, man. What are you talking about? And then Shaq didn't want to work out. Kobe was working out all the time. They just had differences. And a lot of times with differences, right, you hope that the teams can overlook or the players can overlook their differences. You know, we talk about music. Like, there have been different bands over time that talk about the Beatles. You know, Paul McCartney and Lennon, they had some differences. They wanted to write different music. They wanted to do different things. How do you overcome that? Because greatness is out there if you can overcome that. Longevity is out there if you can overcome that. It's hard for human nature.
I agree. I like that.
Just think if Shaq and Kobe stayed together. I mean, the NBA is different. History is different. Those guys would have done a lot. And I think when they got apart, and one went to Miami and one stayed with the Lakers, and then when Kobe had to get Paul Gasol to get some energy in him, you start realizing, then he played with Dwight Howard. Man, I should stay with Shaq. Sometimes it's like that. Pancake Analytics says, in my opinion, collectors become accidental investors. And love what you collect, says she agrees with me. I can see that. I can see that.
Yeah. Like anybody that kept their Pokemon stuff, right? Who knew?
Yes.
That's the kind of stuff, like, who knew that was ever going to...
I would have never known that. If you could go back in time, it'd be something in 98. Pokemon wasn't even on my radar. That was like something that the generation before me, I thought would be involved in. That wasn't the case. You know, a lot of times it's not how things start; it's how they begin to go over time. You know, there are some cars, there are some players. We're talking about sports. There are some cars that were very well sought after 20 years ago. They're not really sought after right now.
Mm-hmm. And if you think about it, which is something that I think about a lot, and it's really crazy, is that with the impact that Pokemon has had so far with the newer stuff, if you think about it progressing the same rate as the old stuff is, it's still pretty undervalued too. So I think there's a lot that you can do if you hold on to Pokemon long term too right now.
Yep, I can see that. Yeah.
We have so many kids that are still falling in love with Pokemon every day. So they have a big brand.
Most definitely they do. I don't know. It's hard to talk to someone if you say Pokemon, they don't know what you're talking about.
It's hard for me too, like the new stuff, but that's something I also want to spend some more time on learning more about.
You know, this is a question that just came to my head. I know you put good work in at the Del Mar show, organizing an event. Do you plan to do more stuff like that at shows or at events?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. It's already in the works. So Burbank Cards Show, is that what they're calling it? Burbank Card Show. Yeah, I'll be doing another hobby hunt there, and it should be bigger and better than the last. And then again at the October Del Mar show. So
it's very good. That was a great event. I think those are the things, like stuff you're spearheading, is what keeps children engaged. When they, sometimes at a certain age and time span of being at one particular show, could kind of zone out or want to do something else, and then you're educating at the same time.
I think it's really important. I think for kids to have hobbies, and growing up, I don't know about you, but my parents, again, first generation here, so they didn't really understand the concept of a hobby or why people would need hobbies, or it's just a waste of money, right? But I like the hobby hunt because not only, like you said, does it give kids something to do at shows, they're learning life experiences, like going up to vendors and talking to them. That's something they have to do to complete the hunt. That in itself is practicing confidence, listening skills. And then, when you come into teaching them the money aspect of it, you can also show parents, like, look, this is a hobby that they're having a lot of fun with, but they're also learning a lot of great life skills through it, like how to save your money to buy a card, how to trade up. Hey, why was I able to make this deal and save a little money? Well, maybe because you built a relationship with that person at one show, and the next time they were more likely to give you, $20 off or whatever it was that you got a deal on. I think we need to focus more on that. I'm not a big fan of dollar challenge things, because I think that not enough goes into teaching kids the hard work that goes behind getting deals. It's not going up to a vendor and trying to finesse them and have you win the deal and then be the loser and go, ha ha ha, I just stole money from you, essentially. I think that's the wrong idea. I think we have to show how much hard work goes into building connections and networking and thinking of a win-win. So
I totally agree.
I was just talking to somebody about that. I'm not a fan of dollar challenges.
I love to see your passion too when you talk about this. I know it's what you do, but I think it's something that's not talked about enough in the hobby.
Yeah, I'm a teacher at heart, and the kids that I have in mind are always my students, and I teach middle school, so 12, 13-year-olds. And something that I see every single year is that they need help in is building confidence.
Yes.
And I think the hobby helps a lot with that. It's helped me, honestly. Like before distance learning, I never would have imagined myself being able to talk in front of a camera this way, believe it or not. I had like hives knowing that I had to go on Zoom to teach my kids when we were on lockdown.
Okay.
And yeah, it's helped me come out of my shell in that regard. And every time I do a show, I get more confident for the next one. And every time I do a YouTube interview, I'm more confident for the next one. And that's just, you continue to build to get better at your craft. And that teaches kids to do that in anything they do.
And I think the thing that everyone should know is that it's uncomfortable. It's a human characteristic to be uncomfortable talking in front of people. And also, like you're talking about being on a Zoom, looking at yourself. Most of the time in our life, up until the pandemic came, I may be talking about something, but I don't also have to look at myself, while I'm doing it. I didn't have to do that until Zoom came out and other things came out to conduct meetings in separated places. So, and I think I would like for people to always know that, like, it's not, if you feel anxiety talking to people or being on the Zoom looking at yourself, you're not by yourself.
That's completely normal. Yeah, you're right.
Yes. Feed the God says, one thing I learned from FD, if I taught anything, I'm humbled. For quite a while, I have to do the research. I'm a collector at heart, but I think I won't lose if I have the mind of a flipper, looking for the best of what I love. I'm a big proponent of doing research and being patient. To me, those two things can carry you a long way in the hobby. You really don't have to rush anything. If there's a card you think you missed out on, some kind of way, you're probably going to see that card or something equivalent at some point in your collecting career. That it's not, at least I know me personally, I don't feel like it's ever a rush. Like I have to do this right now. Things will be there. Sin City said, "What's up, Mama Breaks? What's up, Sin City?"
What's up, Sin City?
Pancake Analytics says, that's a great point. Life skills through the card shows. My father took me to Comic Cons to teach me how to come out of my shell. Great experience at a young age. It is. I want to bring my 6-year-old Junior to a show that you're going to be at and take him through the hunt. I think it'd be good for him.
Yeah. Burbank's Sports Card Show, that one in August. That should be the best hunt to date. Yeah, I'm excited about that. I'm excited about really honing in with the vendors about like the skills that they're teaching. It can be hard if it gets busy. That's why I like to do it only one certain day. Vendors have to go to make money too. But I think Sundays are usually slower for shows. It's a great opportunity to do that. And it also, something that I've talked about with others too, it's building that culture for shows everywhere now. Because I feel like sometimes kids may be left out because vendors aren't taking the time to make those interactions and interact with kids. So I forgot who said this. I'm so sorry. But they said, if you're a kid and you have, let's say, a $10 card that you really love, and you go up to a vendor spends some time to get to know you, tells you, hey, that's a great card. That can make the difference between someone being a lifelong collector, having that positive first-time card show experience, versus get this trash out of here, kid. Which I'm sure has happened to people.
Oh, I've seen that happen. I've seen that personally.
So kind of, if we in the future maybe make this a requirement for vendors, have a discount on the table if you're part of the hunt, and essentially you have to be nice to kids. I think more people would be then being forced to do it, say, hey, this isn't so bad. Kids are pretty cool. Doing stuff for kids is pretty cool. I'm lucky that I've gotten to be a teacher, interact with kids, and know how fulfilling and how beautiful of a connection that can be. But people don't really, not everyone understands that, especially if you don't have kids of your own. I can see how it's hard.
I can see why it's hard too. But I also think about, just think about the hobby as a market, right? Who are going to be the future market purchasers, buyers, people at tables? And I can remember every local card shop I went in Chicago where someone tried to talk down to me or act like I knew nothing. And when I was 13, 14, 15 years old, I can remember that. And what it did with me, Stephanie, is that it sparked me to always want to do research, be on my game when I'm talking to someone. And then when I don't see people do something, it makes me. So if I see someone not really engaging with people that are young, whenever I go out, and I vowed this to myself when I was a kid, if I'm interacting with young people, I'm going to be engaged with them. I'm going to have a conversation with them. I'm going to talk to them like people and not like talk at them. And I think the more we do that, it helps the hobby overall, but it helps our youth that are at shows, like you talked about before, interacting with people and learning the steps of how they can live their lives later, or what attributes, a good handshake, eye contact, just a whole bunch of things that someone could read you a certain way. You don't mean to be that way. It's just intimidating to walk up to somebody that you don't know.
I really like that you said that you tell yourself that you're going to engage with kids. Something I tell myself is be the adult you needed as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that really puts things in perspective for a lot of people.
Yes, for sure.
And I like the fact that you said that those negative experiences cause you to be like, you know, more gritty and be like, hey, you know what? Next time I go to a show, I'm going to show them that I know what I'm talking about, because those are also good experiences to have. So that's why I love the hobby hunt so much, because I think that being overly positive and giving with kids, like especially giving them free stuff, can have the reverse negative effect where they show up to shows and it's like, well, where's my free stuff? You know, we have to be mindful that we can spoil kids too,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So there has to be, in my opinion, some disciplinary factors and rules to, hey, you know, the point is for you to learn something about the hobby so we can all just, you know, learn more about the community. And we need you in the future to add value.
Mm-hmm.
And if you complete the hunt, then here's something for free that we're more than happy to give to you. But it's not just like, because then we will create a bunch of kids saying, where's my free stuff? I'm a kid. We don't want that.
Yeah, put the work in first and then you'll be rewarded, right?
And same thing.
I came over to your table at Del Mar and you were, as I expected, you were serious, right? And there were some kids, I've told the story here at home. There were some kids poking, like looking into the bags to see what was in. And you were like, you said, there's no peeking. We'll be giving out bags shortly. There's no.
That's the middle school teacher in me. It's getting structure too.
That's good stuff. It's good stuff. Feed to God says, I've always have this one rule for myself. Be the adult that my 7-year-old would look up to and be proud of. That's why I still love Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! Still at 27. Need to make that inner child happy. I feel that all the time. As I look at cards, it could be a modern day card. It could be Bo Jackson. It could be something from even before I was born. Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, someone else. It's still that kid in you that you get excited about stuff.
I agree, and that's why I tell everybody that they need a hobby. Because sometimes I don't know about you, but you know, I'm a teacher and I have coworkers, and I try not to talk about cards because I know they don't understand. But from time to time, I'll be like, yeah, you know, like I sell cards and I have followers on Instagram, and I feel like it could seem childish to them, but I think everybody needs.
I totally agree with you.
You know, garden. My brother actually, he into plants, so he does that. Mm-hmm. He grows his own exotic plants in his apartment, and he could sell them if he wanted to. He said he could sell some of his plants for like $1,000.
Okay.
But that's his love. Like he loves walking into his home and seeing it, so he would never sell it.
Okay. Now I'm a firm believer that, like when I came up, my parents believed that no young person should just have idle time all the time. Like you should have something that you participate in. It could be a chess club, it could be golf team, it could be debate, it could be you're a student athlete, whatever it may be. Something that kind of fills your time, keeps you busy, keeps your mind kind of focused on something, keep you away from doing other things. So I kind of came up with that, and I believe in that myself. Like here, we try to make sure we have a summer program for the children in the house to make sure they're doing something. They're focused on something. I remember G when he was 8 or 9 years old. We had him read about a person, like a biography, and then he had to write a summary and then get up in front of the family and present it. Now he got up like he was petrified, but I told him, man, everybody's petrified of doing that.
Yeah, and like I said, building blocks, you just keep getting better and better. And I've actually been thinking about this a lot this week too, because I'm reading a particular book called Grit by Angela Duckworth.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody who's watching that has kids, you should definitely read it. And it talks a lot about that. Not necessarily that they shouldn't have idle time, but that everyone, especially kids, should have something to do where they genuinely want to get better at. Something that they genuinely want to get better at, because that's how you develop grittiness and determination and the experience of failing and getting better and hard work, because it's a lot easier for us to want to fail and get better at something that we enjoy doing. It won't
That's true.
be, it's not like if you're being forced to become a doctor, you know, and you fail the MCAT for the first time, you had no real passion or desire to be a doctor to begin with. I have a hard time believing that you're going to put yourself through that again.
It's true.
But if science and medicine and biology and is something that you enjoy, failing is not going to be your detriment. It's only going to be your fuel to study harder and get better. So that's why I think people who have had a lot of success in life is because they decided to, you know, really go in on something that they enjoy to do. Because once it gets hard, everything gets hard. It's a lot easier to do something hard when you love it. And Kobe talks about that a lot.
Yes, very true.
Mm-hmm.
I got a question for you. So I saw a picture on your Instagram recently of you in high school. What would you, if you could go back and tell that person at that age some things about life, or what advice would you give them overall about life?
It's literally what I just said, and what I told a lot of my 8th grade students that were culminating is that just do what you love. Don't give up on it at all. Like I wanted so badly to be an art curator out of high school. Art history is something that I studied on my own, really, as a 16, 17, 18-year-old, which is really weird if you think about it to begin with, you know? And I just felt that, you know, I really wanted to move out. I really wanted my own place. I really wanted to be on my own. And I thought that if I did art history, that I would be in school, I would rack up a lot of debt, that I wouldn't be able to have a job right away. So I was more interested in making money. But the thing is, believe me, there are so many students that were like me in that type of situation where, you know, making money wasn't an option.
Yeah.
But I shouldn't have let go of the art curator dream. I feel like if I could have done both, you know, and I kind of just let it slip my mind and forgot about it. So I told my kids to start planning now, even in 8th grade, 9th grade, to do something that they love and truly believe that anybody can truly do something that they love. That's my belief anyway.
I'm all with that, Stephanie. I'm 100% with that. That gets me excited. Yeah.
So as a parent, it's really difficult. So I have 2 little ones. They're 3 and 1.5. You're very biased as a parent, you know. I think we do want our kids to be happy, but not at the expense of safety sometimes. So I imagine myself being biased when I'm older and being like, hey, you can't do this because of X or Y, or you can't, I'm nervous for them I'm nervous if they want to play football. That's something I'm really hoping they don't want to do. And, I understand that that's a bias that I'll have as a parent, and I hope that my husband, he will help me come to an understanding and things, because the focus should be on finding what your kids are most interested in.
Yes.
That's going to make them the most happy, and kind of just giving them that support.
Yes.
Because I don't think kids need a lot of pushing necessarily, but they do need support and discipline.
Yes.
So to me, pushing is not, hey, you wanted to sign up for jiu-jitsu, and in order for you to sign up, I had to buy a whole year plan. So you sit down with your kid and you're like, if you want to do jiu-jitsu, you have to do it for a year. Do you agree? Yes. Okay. And then 3 months later, when it starts getting hard and, hey, my teacher this, and I don't want to go to practice tomorrow. Sorry. That's where the discipline part comes in. Like, you signed up for it.
You got to stick with it.
Exactly.
Hey, but Stephanie, I can tell you this too, right? I play football. I'm also scared. I don't know if I want my sons to play football. I've said this from when Junior was born. I didn't know I was going to have a second son, but I don't know if I want him to play. I'd like for them to do something else. But now if they came to me and said, Dad, I want to play football, then we're going to get down into what you just talked about. Committing yourself to it, because I think the more you commit to it, lessens the probability of you getting hurt because you're taking it seriously. But I think the head issues associated with football is something that, when I played, people thought about knees, ankles, breaking a bone. A concussion was something people talked about just shaking off. But that's not something that you shake off. And so with them, I would like for them to understand what it's like to be tired. They're going to be bigger guys. They're going to be taller guys. What's it like to run around? There are other sports that you can probably participate in. There's a lower probability of some concussions happening with you. I wish that for them, but I just want them to take something seriously, and if you tell me you want to do it, then let's get in shape.
Exactly. I'm 100% with you on that, FB. And I think about that with my younger brothers and sisters too. I'm actually the oldest of 7.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Okay. Yeah. I know your brother, one of your brothers was at Delmar, right?
Yes. I actually featured him on a reel. He's 15.
Okay. I did not know he was your brother. I saw him working, so I didn't interrupt him and talk to him about much. Next time I see him, I'll talk to him.
He really enjoys sports cards, so I'm excited to continue doing that with him. And yeah, like you said, teaching him a little discipline and hard work. And I think we all went through that phase at the beginning of our collecting where you love to rip packs. So that's been something that we've been working on, the discipline with not opening packs as much, saving for cards and stuff. So we're growing together, actually. But we still rip from time to time for fun as family and stuff. So
yeah, that can be a fun occasion. But if he's with you, he's going to learn what he needs to learn.
Oh yeah, he surprised me. He really impressed me at Delmar. Not only was he hardworking and took initiative and didn't really wait for me to give him direction. He made some good plays himself and made some good deals. Okay. And we had that conversation on the drive back home, like, hey, why do you think you got such a good deal on this card? And he's like, I don't know. I don't know why the guy just gave me a good deal. And I was like, let's break it down. He's like, so how did you approach him? He's like, well, I told him, good afternoon, sir. This is a really nice collection. I was like, well, you don't think that had something to do with it?
He's learning.
That's a really nice way to approach someone, Yeah. Then he said, he approached him with a value that he thought was fair, and he did. And I was like, that's, he without even maybe from seeing other positive interactions like that, he got that from, but he didn't even realize that he did something the right way, which is polite, friendly, approach someone with your knowledge and saying, hey, I'm not just giving you a crazy number. I did a little bit of my research right now and think that's fair. I'm sure the vendor was like, hey, you know what? That is fair. Instead of saying, well, what's the lowest you can go on that card? That's not going to fare very well with people, I don't think.
No. I give people advice all the time, but that's really not the road you want to go down. And have conversations about other things. Tell people like you say, your knowledge of the market. Get to know them a little bit. Ask some questions about them, and then build upon that every time you see them. Those are the things that really make a difference. And then you're in the relationship zone. You're getting to know people over time. And that changes the entire game. You're giving them everything. Like I said, when I walked up, he was working, so he was getting after it.
Yeah, he made money. It's good. So, and he bought it. He bought some other cards that he really loves. So
very cool. Sandbox Memorabilia says, "I'm glad you're a mother and a teacher. The next generation is lucky to have Stephanie Garcia as a role model. I love the way your mind works, Mama Breaks."
Thank you so much, Sandbox. I really appreciate it. Yeah, you know what? And another thing I tell people too is that I'm always learning. If anybody ever asks me for advice in anything, I tell them I would not be where I am today if it wasn't for reading. I read. I'm always reading something. And again, not to like be super overly annoying with this stuff, but just read things that you enjoy.
Sure.
You can learn something from anything. I enjoy reading a lot of those sort of psychological self-help stuff. That's the stuff that I enjoy and find interesting. So I'm constantly reading things like that. And then every now and then I'll throw in something that I think would help me with my business, like the science of selling, how to close a sale, and things like that. And then I'll read a Dodgers history book or an autobiography or something like that. So,
that's a very cool attribute. Always willing to learn something. I think that's important. No matter how old we are, there's something more for us to learn.
Absolutely. Always be a student of everything. And again, I'm going to sound like a teacher so bad, but sorry, forgive me. Reading doesn't have to be like a physical thing that you do and take time for. Because I'm very, understanding of the new era, right? We enjoy watching short clips of stuff. So our attention spans are very short. And it's really hard for me, even who I've loved to read my whole life, for me to be able to sit down for 30 minutes and read a book has not been that easy for me. I'll fall asleep. I'll get distracted with but just put audiobooks on your drive to work, on your drive back. If you're folding laundry, if you're washing the dishes, just put an audiobook on. I guarantee you that you will feel an enhancement in your life. If working out is something that you do, instead of listening to, I don't know, whatever music you listen to an audiobook.
A sound device.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like hobby advice or anything. Oh, Mint Condition is a really good book for hobbyists out there. Actually, that's opened my mind a lot about the hobby when I read it earlier this year.
Okay.
Mint Condition. I'm not sure, I forgot who the author was, but I don't know if you read the Trading Cards Are Cool Again by Josh Luber.
No, I didn't read it, but I've talked to people.
That's actually a PDF that he has on there, and I read most of that, and he cites that book a lot.
Okay.
Mint Condition by because he essentially talks about the history of trading cards and why. One of the main parts to me in that book was the fact that.
No, go ahead.
Sorry. One of the most eye-opening parts to me in that book by Dave Jamieson, Mint Condition, was that the whole idea of case hits, he talks about the inception of that. I think is really interesting.
Okay.
It's essentially getting people to buy more packs, really.
Oh yeah, it's going to incentivize you too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I guess if you kind of, if you see things more that way, you kind of start understanding that, hey, the value of these cards are really subjective. Like I can form my own opinion on card, and I'm able to say, I don't really like that. I wouldn't value it at that much, and that's okay. You kind of save yourself from FOMO
Perfectly fine.
purchases that way,
Yep. Yep. A lot of times I'll see the
because
price of
I
a
find
card
myself.
or something going on with a card, and I'll think I need to wait a duration of time before I make a move on anything dealing with that player.
Yeah, and sometimes I'll see a card and I'm like, not to like talk smack or anything. I know a lot of people love it and that's fine, but the Maga, those
Oh yeah,
prism
yeah.
inserts, I'm just not a fan of those, and that's
Well, they just
okay.
came out. They just came out. They're different. They kind of reach to the color blast and some other stuff, and people are hyped about them. But let's see if people are that hyped in 6 months.
Or even 5 years from now. That's what worries me, and like I said, if you believe that that's what it's worth right now, then you should be able to make that sound decision. And even though it goes down later, I guess you should always ask yourself that. What would you do if this card went down half price 2 months from now? Would you still enjoy it for the price you bought it at? And if you can say yes, then you should definitely buy it.
I agree.
And
I told a story before of when LaMelo Ball in basketball first came out. Prism had just came out, and his Prism base out of the pack was $1,500. Now, in 3-4 weeks after that, it already had started dropping. So, and there were people on eBay buying and selling these cards.
Yeah.
So you just got to ask yourself, and I think when you've been in the hobby long enough, when cards first come out, there's going to be kind of a hype. There are layers to the price of a card. Hype is a layer of the price of a card. So if you let that hype wear off, let that hype go, be patient a little bit, then you'll actually see, and let the player play. Let us see what this player is going to do. Then you'll probably see what the real market value is.
And you can make plays on the reverse that way. Like I said, if you start thinking of things in a subjective way and say, hey, this value is only what it is to a certain person, you can find stuff that are undervalued now that later are going to go up because you had the wherewithal, you trusted your own instinct and your own knowledge and your own gut to be like, hey, this should not be as cheap or the price that it is. For example, again, it's all speculation in the end. You're taking risks, but I bought a Davante Adams Bowman Chrome Gold rookie. I believe
I saw your card on Instagram. Yeah.
Out of 50, and I got it for $80. Now, to me, I want to say Davante Adams is top 2 wide receiver in the league right now.
He's top 2 right now. Yeah.
Arguably number 1. And for me to be able to get the gold, which is, the surface isn't that great, but sharp corners, sharp edges, all that gold.
You know why I think you're getting that card at that price? Because everybody's chasing Herbert and Burrow.
Exactly. But we can talk about that on another show, like how to make eBay plays, because I'm pretty good at that. But there was 18 bids on that card. So out of 18 people, I was the only one that thought that was worth $80. My highest bid was $150 because I'm thinking if I can get let's say I can't even name a random rookie in this last year's football class. What's the cheapest gold rookie you can get out of Prism right now? It's probably $80. Just because Prism's out right now, so I can't think of them too much, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I just think $80 for a proven player that you can argue is the best at their position in the league for $80 is, and out of 18 people, I was the one that thought it was worth that. Because I think you can make plays like that if you, like you said, if you're patient, if you do your research, you trust yourself.
Yes. Trust yourself and believe in the work that you've put in and where you think the market is going. Because you may talk to somebody like, oh, I don't see that, but you can still be right.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody can be like, no, Stephanie, you overpaid for that, you know? And I'm like, well, that's you think, but I don't think so.
I don't think
I
so.
think he has one good game, and that's going to double if I
Mhm.
put it up, you know?
Yep. Well, you know, I don't want to keep you too long. It's always
Mhm.
great talking to you. You always have great insight. It's good. You know, every time we talk, I learn something more about you and in general.
Thank you.
You know, we're going to want to have you on again after a duration of time. Let you get in, get settled. I know you're
Of course.
moving, but it's always a pleasure talking to you and having you on.
Thank you so much for having me, FD. Always a pleasure to seeing you at shows and having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, ma'am. Tell your
Thank
family
you.
I said hello. I
I
know
will.
you're moving around and growing. Tell your husband I said hello as well.
I will. Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye bye.